The for loop has three sections, and those three sections are separated by a semicolon. So we saw that the first section was the initialization, the second section was the test, and the third section that was the update. Now you always have to have these three separate sections. So if I have a for loop, I always have to have three sections. Okay? Now, can I leave any of these sections blank? Yes. What would happen if I do this loop? This would be a loop that runs infinitely. There is no test to make it stop. Okay, so this would be an infinite loop. But I can leave a section blank. For example, let's say I want to print the numbers from a user specified number till 10. In that case, I need to ask the user for a number. So let's go import scanner, import util.scanner. Let's go down and create a scanner. So scanner k equal to new scanner system.in. And then I need to ask the user for a number. So system.out.println, enter start number. Okay, so let's create a variable start. We're going to go to scanner and say, get me the next int. And now I know my starting point, so I don't have to put anything here. So all I have to do is say, as long as start is less than or equal to 10, start plus plus, and then system.out.println start. Let's test this code. Let's just comment out the top part so it doesn't get run with us. Let's run it. And it asks for a start number. I'll say 3, and it prints me the numbers from 3 up to 10. So this is the number I entered, and this is the printing it's doing. Let's say I entered a number that was bigger than 10, like 12. It doesn't print anything. And that's because we said the for loop is a pre-test loop. So it tested the 12, it found it's not less than 10, and it didn't continue. So I can leave some parts blank if needed, okay? Now, if you leave, some people, what they do, I'm going to copy this code again. I'm going to mark it as bad. Okay, so this is bad code. What they do is they leave this start plus plus out of here, and they put it inside. Now, will this code work? Yes, it will work. But why is it bad? It's bad because the purpose of the for loop is for me to see my initialization, my test, and my update all in one place. I should not be updating the control variable, which is start in here, inside the loop. It should be done up here. Okay, so this is bad code. You should not write that. Like I said, it will work, but it's not what a for loop is intended for. A for loop is intended to make your life easier by looking next to the word for, and you see your starting, your stopping, and your update all in one line. You don't have to dig for them. Okay, so this is bad code that I would not like you to start writing with, even though it will run. Now, can you leave some parts blank? Yes, you can leave some parts blank. What if I want to initialize two things at the same time? So, for example, when we were doing the summation, let's go up to the example when we were adding the variables. Okay, so here I wanted to add the numbers from 1 to 10. There are two variables that I needed to initialize. I needed to initialize I to be 1, and I needed to initialize total to be 0. Instead of putting it here, I could have also put it here. So I could also say total equal to 0. So what I'm doing is I'm now creating two variables on the same in the same place, in the same section in the for loop. So this will also work. If I had more than one thing that I wanted to do, I could also do it here. Like, let's say there was another variable j, okay, equal to 0. I could have also said, and j like minus minus, for example. So you can put more than one more than one initialization, or more than one update, or more than one test. For the initialization, what you do is you separate them by commas. For the update, you separate them by commas. If you had to do it for a test, you would say like for while I is less than or equal to 10, maybe and j is greater than 7, you know, something like that. Let me just take this and fix it back to the way it was so that you can see it on the slides and on the code on Blackboard later. So we don't want this j, and we don't want this j, and we don't want this part. So you can, like I said, leave the sections blank if you need to. You can add more than one test. You can add more than one initialization or update variable. Now you can also write nested for loops. Let's say, you know, an example of a nested for loop is if I need to write the multiplication table. So let's say I need to write the multiplication tables of all of the tables. I need to write the multiplication table for 1, 2, all the way to 10. Now, when I'm writing the multiplication table of 1, I need to multiply 1 by every number from 1 to 10. So here I have, like, the first column is I. I need I to go from 1 to 10. So it's going to go I equal 1, I equal 2, I equal 3, all the way up to I equal 10. When I'm processing I equal 1, I need to look at all the numbers, and here we're calling those j equal 1, all the way up to j equal 10. So this is an example of a nested for loop. I'm not really going to ask you to write a nested for loop on the exam, but I want you to be aware that you can do it. So if you were to copy this code and run it in NetBeans, you will find that it prints this output. Basically, again, what it's doing, it's starting off and saying, start me off with I equal 1. And when it's I equal 1, it's going to go and it's going to find another loop that says, start me off with I equal j. So it's going to print 1 times 1, I times j, 1 times 1. And when it's done, it's going to increment j, making it 2. So it's going to print 1 times 2, then increment j, making it 3. And it's going to do that until it reaches 10. Once it finishes and prints out 10 and makes j 11, this test fails. And so this inner loop is now done. So it's going to go up and say, I am done with I equal 1. What's my update? I plus plus. Make the 1 a 2. And so when it makes the I a 2, then it's going to go and find another loop inside of it that says start again from j equal 1. So it's going to start printing 2 times 1, 2 times 2, all the way up to 2 times 10. When it's done, j is 11. It's going to go and say, I'm done, update my I. So now it's going to process 3. And that's how this loop would run. How many times would this loop run? It's going to run 10 times for I equal 1 to 10. For each one of these 10 times, it's going to run another 10 times for the j. So this is going to run 10 times 10, which is 100 times. So when you have nested for loops, make sure you notice how many times your loop is going to run. It's going to run a lot.